This is my baby Ashler. He was funny, charming, popular, and had a lot of friends. He came from a regular home with 2 parents, occasionally attended church, and had a mother who was a school administrator. He did normal kid things like attending dances, skateboarding, playing video games, and even attended a Pokemon League at the local comic book shop. This is my son now, forever 23. The point is that addiction can happen to anybody from any background. The thing is that I was in denial for the longest time that he was using in high school. And by the time I figured it out, we had to fight to get him help. There were signs, but I didn't know them. I was naive and clueless, but what parent would know these things if they never experienced them before? In this video, I'm going to tell parents about some signs that your kid might be using. And if it helps one kid avoid this fate that my son had, it is totally worth it. Tired all the time, mouthy, rebellious, wanting to spend less time with their parents, grades going down, lacking motivation. Some of these signs that you are told to look for just seem iffy. In fact, some of these signs seem pretty typical to adolescents. I certainly fit that description when I was a teenager, so when I began seeing these signs, I really thought that he was following in his mother's footsteps. I mean, I did my share of rebellious things, but never hard drugs, so why would I think any different about my own kid? The first big red flag that I saw was coming home to a house that smelled like pot. Yes, I experimented when I was a teen, but I never was so blatantly disrespectful to bring it into my parents' house. I was furious, but not overly concerned. He was grounded and we took his door off his bedroom because he had violated our trust. But in the back of my head, all I could think was, it was pot. It was about to become legalized, much like alcohol. And while I knew it was not okay, especially for someone with an underdeveloped brain, it was not the end of the world. But it's not the 80s or 90s anymore. We can no longer accept kids experimenting. That one experiment can mean their death. Here is my list of warning signs of drug use in teenagers to look for, many that I missed. Number 1, closed backpack everywhere. A lot of kids who are using carry their backpacks everywhere. It's always closed and they don't want you to know what the contents are. I often noticed that my kiddo's backpack reeked of Axe spray and cigarette smoke. Of course, the smoke was from a friend who smoked because my little angel wouldn't smoke. He had asthma, and that would just be stupid. Okay, I knew better on this one. I snuck a cigarette or 2 in high school as a way to meet boys. Anyway, not anything atypical. Number 2. Missing medicine from parents or siblings. I have lupus, and as a result, I have a pharmacy in my very own home. I trusted that my boys would leave my meds alone. My kids were the type to give me a hard time over drinking a wine cooler. I thought they were pretty straight-edged. Once after being hospitalized, though, I was given a script for painkillers. Shortly after returning from the pharmacy, I noticed that my bottle was quite low to the point that I called the pharmacy and asked why the medicine was short. They calmly asked if I had a teenager. His excuse was that he had a headache. He was so grounded, and from then on, any meds that I had that I knew could be abused were locked up in a safe. If you have a teenager, I recommend you being real proactive and that you lock up your meds just in case. Number 3, the overuse of Axe Deodorant. Okay, again, pretty typical for teenage boys. I don't know where in their mind that they got that girls thought this stuff actually smells good, but Axe over pot or cigarette smells atrocious and definitely was not good for my asthma. In hindsight, he was covering many smells. Number 4, missing change and cash. I got to the point that I never carried change or cash, even when I thought I never had enough to worry about it. At first, I thought it was me losing it because I can be totally scatterbrained. I just knew that it would mysteriously disappear if I had it, and at that point, I didn't trust my kid. It was the worst feeling ever to not be able to trust my own kid. Number 5, long periods of time in the bathroom when not taking a shower. My boys were always fighting over the bathroom, mainly because my youngest was always in the bathroom. At one time, he was meticulous over his hygiene, so this was nothing new, except that he started coming out of the shower no cleaner than before, and he seemed to be lacking basic hygiene, like washing his hair. We also noticed black fingerprints all over the house. It turned out that he was using heroin. I didn't know this until years later. Number 6, another sign of heroin use that I was naive of was missing spoons. I think that I attributed to the fact that all 3 of my boys were nasty animals whose bedrooms were little to be desired. I did make them clean their rooms once a week, but I was convinced that our silverware was somehow being swallowed underneath their beds or in their dresser drawers when they cleaned their rooms. Number 7, cut up straws and hollowed pens. The cut up straws were a mystery to me, and I couldn't figure out why all of a sudden my son's pens were all exploding. He would blame the dog, saying that he was chewing them up. Why do we parents want to think the best of our kids, even when the signs are there flashing in your face? Apparently, these are impromptu devices to snort drugs. I got to the point that we no longer bought straws because I was so sick of picking them up, and again, I was in denial about the spoons. Number 8, bottle lids, all over the place. Yeah, again, I thought my kid was a dirty pig who needed to pick up his garbage. I didn't know this one until after my son's death. Bottle caps, much like spoons, are used for cooking drugs. Number 9, cigarette filters broken apart. Cotton balls and Q-tip heads are all used as making a safer way to inject by filtering particles out of drugs, if there's such thing as safe. Number 10, aluminum foil. I kept finding wads of aluminum foil and gum wrappers all over the place. I always seemed to be out of foil, and it wasn't something that I used regularly. I know that heroin was something people injected, but I didn't realize that it was something that could be smoked and that aluminum foil was used in this process. I mean, how would I? My generation, while experimental for the most part, stayed away from heroin. It was the one drug we all knew was off limits because we knew it killed. We are the generation that grew up to Train Spotting and Sid and Nancy. Number 11, hoodie strings missing. I can't begin to say how frustrated I was because I felt like hoodies were so cheaply made that they were constantly losing their strings. Little did I know that the strings were being used for nefarious things. Number 12, dark circles under eyes. My son had dark circles around his eyes a lot. I knew he was somewhat allergic to animals. We had them in the house, so he said it was his allergies, and I thought none of it. It turns out that my son had inherited an allergy to opiates. Not only was he allergic to opiates, but he abused them. Not at all illogical, I know, but I don't think addicts who are active in their addiction think logically. Number 13, eye drops. Again, I thought my son's use of eye drops were allergy related. It was in fact to cover up his bloodshot eyes. Number 14, nausea. A lot. My son seemed to have a lot of bouts of nausea. I even took him to the doctor because I didn't understand what was wrong with him. I had gone away from meat for a while, and his doctor told me that the problem was that he needed to eat a hamburger. No, his problem was that he was a drug addict. I hope this list will help parents that are starting to wonder if their kid is abusing drugs. I could have used it myself and probably a kick in the pants as well. When Ashler was 17, after a year of fighting with my insurance company, I was finally able to get him treatment. He spent the next 6 years rotating in and out of treatment. After finding out that his person, a beloved relative who was clean for nearly 10 years, had relapsed, he checked himself out of treatment. This person overdosed on meth and fentanyl, and 3 days later, my son did too. On Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021, Ashler Sebastian James Holloway, loving son, died in Phoenix, Arizona at the age of 23. Ashler was born on December 3rd, 1997 in Rockford, Illinois. He was known for his goofy sense of humor, his love of music, his magnetism to pretty girls, his passion for life, his addiction to Taco Bell, and parking garages. He helped many people who struggled with recovery in their addiction. He had a tremendous heart and always tried to help others, even as he was struggling himself. His remains were donated to Research for Life so that he can continue helping others in his passing. He leaves behind his mother, Erin, father, Thomas, and his brothers, David and Kate. A memorial fund will be set up at Appforce. Information is provided by the family. I will provide a link. Please donate to his memorial fund. Thank you.